Okay, recording in progress.
All righty. To find my notes here.
Let me move
Two.
the light just to.
Okay, bear with me just a second here.
No problem.
I am multitasking.
Me too.
Okay. Well, I never did get my hot water tank fixed. They have to get some parts.
Well, that sucks. So you'll be taking cold showers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a brand new water heater I put in June,
Mm.
and something screwed up on the
Is it,
inside, and
is
the
it
guy had
covered?
just
Is it covered under warranty?
the parts are the diagnostic stuff is not, but
Uh,
I have to. The guy couldn't figure it out. He was on the phone to the corporate today trying to
mhm.
figure. There's something going on with the amount of oxygen's not getting in there and stuff. It's an odd problem.
Mm, that sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me
So,
see here. Okay, here we
yeah.
go. All right, so uh, okay. All right, so yeah, I'm recording on my end here. And I worked up some notes. I'm sorry I didn't get those to you earlier, but we talked a little bit about
Mhm.
sort of my interest in the the discussion of statistics and how they can tell a story
Yeah.
around Appalachia. And I have this project, the Appalachian Beaver County
Hmm.
digital public history project, and it's sort of I'm just throwing a lot of stuff and following my interests through this cultural wise, language wise, social issues, and of course some of the history and so forth. And a lot of the stuff that I'm uncovering in contemporary perspectives anyway has a lot to do with the statistics that are coming out of the Appalachian Regional
Hmm.
District. And I like that stuff. I'm I can be a data wonk, and I like that stuff, but there's just a lot in there to unpack. And
Certainly.
I always
Yeah,
wonder,
it's easy to get lost in all the morass.
yeah, very much it's easy to get lost. And I always think, how are regular folks interpreting this stuff? I
Hmm.
mean, the news when there's a new release from the census or some sort
Yeah.
of thing, so they put out, and the news may pick it up and cover a few things here and there. But I just think like, well, how does the average person kind of just interpret this and synthesize this information, and more importantly, ask that question, so what? Right. And that's
Yeah.
a lot of what I do is I ask the so what question. Why is this relevant? Why is it historically relevant? What
Hmm.
does this mean to today's life? And so I always think of these statistics, through that frame. What does this
Hmm.
mean? What is the story that we can tell?
Well, I mean, poverty, I mean, that's a pretty easy construct to deduce.
Uh, is
Like
it?
like in one of my recent, well, I mean, I guess the federal, I mean, there's always some people who have less than others. And there's always, yes, there's always a new, well, I mean, yes, I mean, some people may think the federal definition of poverty, it may be too narrow, like less than $30,000 a year for a family of four. So, I mean, that's like on a sliding scale, the definition of it.
Right, right. And then when you hear terms associated like, your benefits extend to 150% of the poverty line. I mean, what
Hmm.
does that even mean to people who are They're not shopping at upscale markets. They're shopping at Walmart, or they're shopping at Dollar General, or you know um, those kinds of those outlets. To stretch a buck.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess another like also I also looked at, well, is it all right if I share the screen?
yeah, yeah. At some point here, I'd
All
like
right,
to.
I'll need your permission to do it.
Okay, let's see here. Uh, and where is this going to come up? The permission.
I think isn't there like a little caret right next to the share screen button?
Uh,
Okay,
share screen. Um,
you know,
let's see here. I don't see it.
okay.
Oh, share screen options. There we go. There we go. Okay. Who can cover it? All right. Does that work for you?
All right, let me try it now. Yep, it works.
Okay, good. Good, good, good.
Okay. So let me see here. I got the all right, yeah, the little things in the way.
So
Uh,
if you are willing to extend beyond the 30 minutes here,
yeah,
that would be awesome. And what we'd have to do, we just have to call back on open up a new session. Um,
okay.
I think the
All
same
right,
link
there,
we'll use.
all right, let me bring up all right, the SAPE. This is the small area income and poverty estimates. Like you said, you were interested in Beaver County.
Hmm.
So the overall estimated poverty rate is 10.2%. I guess they do have a little confidence interval. Like when they say on the news this poll has a margin of error plus or minus 3%, they're trying to put a bound on the estimate.
Hmm.
So generally, counties with larger populations will have more narrow confidence intervals. You can also, like here, you can also look at, say, median household income instead of just the poverty rate. So I'd say if we go to Beaver County, so the estimated median poverty, I mean, the estimated median income for Beaver County would be about $67,000. So by contrast, my county, Cambria County, is about 54,000.
Wow,
So
that's a big
median
difference.
income, that means like if you rank all of the incomes in a county from highest to lowest, that's the value that would appear right in the middle.
Hmm.
So yes, there is a big difference. Yes, yes, poverty certainly is a problem in Cambria County.
Right.
So yes, you can also look at, you can look at, say, poverty rates. Well, here, this is for all ages. Yes, 10.2. So for people under the age of 18, it's a little bit higher, about 13.7%.
So minors, children.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like here, these are all the, say, like the school age children.
Mm,
So yes, maybe about, well, roughly the same, about 13.4%.
right.
So yes, you can like use their data tool. I'm just showing you how to use it here.
Mhm.
Let's say like, all right, well, I don't know, I prefer just to look at overall poverty rates. So like here, you can see here for comparison, the percent in poverty, that's the US poverty rate's about 12.6%. So I say Beaver County is actually slightly lower. But all right, so like here, you can click on this top part here, say for the percentage in poverty. So you can go back and look at, okay, like here, Philadelphia County has the highest poverty rate in Pennsylvania. Well, Forest County is the highest, followed by Philadelphia. And then going down, well, Cambria County is actually fourth highest. And like if we go all the way, I guess, well, may have to go down here. All right, Beaver, that would be about, that's about, it was about 10.2%. All right, well, all right, I don't know off the top of my head, but that's pretty much, well, down near the bottom.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
of course, the devil is in the details. Like you were saying before, you saw Aliquippa.
Hmm.
Like if we go to, if we change it to school districts, okay. So like here, this is say for Pennsylvania. If I go to, move over here, go away. So here, like here, this is say the total population for each school district. And this is the, so this would be like the poverty rate. Okay, yes, Aliquippa, yes, is about, oops, let me go down. All right, those are the ones with the lowest poverty rates. So yes, you can see Stowe Rocks. Well, I guess had the highest rate,
Mm.
40.5%, followed closely by Johnstown at 40.4%.
Yeah.
So, and then, okay, like you said you saw, all right, let me go down here where
Yeah. I know. I noticed Aliquippa was in the top rankings there.
the top 20.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, I did. Well, I did do my own little ranking on, I guess, on my website. Let me go to the post.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Yeah. I think that's where I saw it on some of your stuff.
Yeah. So, yes. So, certainly, yes. Like here, this would be, say, for this is just, say, Greater Johnstown. This is the trend over certain years. Like if I wanted to, so if I scroll down here, okay. Yes,
Yeah.
Aliquippa is tied with Steelton High Spire at 17th highest.
Yeah.
So yes, so certainly that's certainly, and funny, you know, like if you look at if you look at if you look at say Allegheny County for poverty rates for all ages, like here, you may think, okay, Allegheny County 11.3, that's one of the better counties. But then if you go look at the, but then if you go back and look at the poverty rates, when that thing keeps coming down. All right, so like here, Stowe Rocks, Duquesne, Wilkinsburg, McKeesport. I'd say there's about three out of the top six poorest school districts. Three out of the top six are in Allegheny County. So certainly that could be an indication that there's like a wide income gap in Allegheny County.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Well, like you said, the devil's in the detail of a lot of these statistics that are thrown up for, especially for public consumption. The headline statistics. You might have a rate. So here in Beaver County, 10. What was it here? 10.2,
10.2%.
right?
Okay, like
We
if
had.
yes, I can, let me see here if I can, all right, Beaver County, let me see. I'm trying to see if I can, wait, I knew there was a filter on here, but like if you, okay, let me see. I know there's all right, let's see here. view. All right, all right. It says over here, yep, filter by. If you go to filter by, like if you want to compare, say, Beaver County, and then you want to make sure it's Pennsylvania, not not Oklahoma. So yes, you can go over here on the graph and see how it's changed at least since 1997. Like I can make it bigger.
Yeah.
So yes, Beaver County would be, let's see, I think that's the light green line. So yes, you can see maybe there was a peak in poverty, say around 2010. I guess that was during the Great Recession.
Yeah.
And I guess there was, yes, a big dip, in 2020. That's when all of the pandemic area, that's when they did all the pandemic, you know, like that, when they gave out the stimuluses and did
Mhm.
lots of things to help poor people during the
Right.
pandemic.
And that county line is much more volatile than the
Yeah.
state and the national lines, which are
Well,
smoother.
hmm
So this
well,
shows much more
yeah.
ups and downs.
Well, that's partly because of the larger. That's partly because of the larger populations.
Hmm.
So yes, the estimates may be a little more stable.
Right.
Like if you go back to look at trends in household income, yes, okay. Well, Beaver County, actually, it does kind of lag behind in terms of median income for the US and Pennsylvania. Those lines are pretty close to each other.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
So,
and that shows a little more volatile line than the others. And so what's interesting is you're looking at these graphs and you're pointing at data points a year, for example,
mhm,
and you're commenting that this was during the recession of 2010. This was during the pandemic. And I guess this is a fundamental thing to remember with looking at all this data is you have to remember uh, what the context is at any given data point. What is that context around it? What was happening socially, politically,
yep,
economically to make sense of that rise or that dip or that flat line, that's shown graphemically, right, on a
mhm,
graph, like that. And I think that's really important when people are looking at the statistic is to also bring to bear all this other information that they have to truly make sense of these numbers. And I think that's really what the end goal is to make sense. What is the story here? Well, this downward trend, right, you see on this graph is in the middle of this thing that we all experienced in 20, this
mhm,
pandemic, right? So we can start to sort of maybe understand this and put it into context in a way that ultimately makes sense, right? And that's the
yep.
goal. Let's
Okay.
can you share with me your interest in statistics and certainly tell us about your project that you have?
Well, I mean, for me, statistics is like learning new facts and new information or data.
Hmm.
Data can be qualitative or quantitative. So you need to find, so yes, you need to look at the trends. And I mean, for me, it just helps you to see patterns that are not easy to see with the naked eye. That's why, there's lots of statistics in sports. And,
Hmm.
I mean, it's better to quantify exactly how many yards, say, Tony Dorsett gained during his career and compare that to other running backs.
Right. And the numbers that we derive, right,
Hmm.
are measurements of things. Um, whether they're direct measurements like, looking at someone's pay stub, how much money they made versus what their employers reported versus what the government reports by way of employment records and so forth. So there are
Hmm.
these levels, direct numbers or indirect numbers, but by and large, like, would you agree that people put a lot of faith in these numbers?
Yeah, well, sometimes it can be misleading.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you this other example. There's county health rankings. You know, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. They gather lots of data from different sources, and they put it all together in one place for you. And they also compute, say, a ranking for, okay, Beaver County ranked 40 out of 67 counties in Pennsylvania. Like, you can see it there on the map.
Hmm.
They also do other types of rankings, say, okay, like a health factors ranking. Well, for the first ranking, that's 40th out of 67 counties is health outcomes. I guess they put that kind of down in the sort of like in the bottom half of the state.
Hmm.
I mean, Cambria County is actually a lot lower than that.
Hmm.
So, like here, if I show you, here's Cambria County. Cambria County.
And this is your
That's
county,
64th. That's my
64.
county, yes.
Wow.
So, yes. But still, sometimes people will just look at those numbers and place a lot of stock in them, or like,
Mhm.
say, like an IQ score.
Yeah.
Like an IQ score is really a composite statistic of lots of other statistics. So,
Hmm.
or lots of other test scores. For most psychologists, it's probably more interesting to look at the subscales of the different test scores than just to look at an overall IQ number. Like there's lots of components to it. So
Hmm.
all right, I'm going to go back to Beaver County, take a Beaver, Pennsylvania. All right, we're going to go look maybe a little more in detail. Okay, so okay, all right, they do have another health ranking called health factors. These are the things that influence how well we live. So, yes. So here we can see, yes, well, for health factors, like access to exercise opportunity, access to healthy foods, that's things like that. Um, so these things, yes, Beaver County actually ranks in the top half. So like if we go down here, if we scroll down, we can see, yes, they do have, you know, it's probably for me, it's more interesting to look at the individual statistics that make up the overall rankings.
Hmm.
So yes, like if we go here, all right, so like premature death, okay, they measure this in terms of years of potential life lost. That's like if someone, let's say, like if someone died. So, like here, this is the number of years before age 75. So, like if someone at age 25 dies, they have 50 years of potential life lost.
Hmm.
So, okay, this is where it gets a little more complicated. So, yes, if we look at, so for Beaver County, the 8,900, that's, I guess, for the most recent year they have. Okay, that's years of potential life lost
Wow.
compared to Pennsylvania, about 7,600 in the U.S. So, like, if we click here, you can see, all right, here's like a description of it. So, like here, years of potential life loss before age 75. So, like anytime there's a premature death. So, you can see, yes, there's a much higher premature death rate amongst African Americans in Beaver County.
Wow. Nearly twice.
Yes.
Wow.
And And you can see here the leading causes of premature death in the county. So like here, this is a, you know, oftentimes they'll look at the raw numbers, but they try to adjust for population, and they do like age adjusted per population for per 100,000 population. It allows you to compare one geographic region to another. And you can see, yes, malignant neoplasms. There's a high rate there.
What in the world is that?
That's a tumor. That's cancer.
Cancer.
Neoplasms, yes, they don't. Yeah, I know they don't. Yes, I know they. Well, yes, they don't. Some of these aren't really described adequately. There's heart disease, accidents, chronic lower respiratory diseases. That can include COVID,
Hmm.
diabetes. So these are like the leading causes of premature death. And then you can see here in this graph, looking at, say, over time since the late 90s, you can see that, yes, that the years of potential life loss rate has increased
Wow.
in recent years.
Beaver County is getting worse for this measure. It says right
Yes,
there.
years of
Wow.
potential loss, life lost. Some of this could have been fueled by COVID and other causes. You know,
Yeah.
so yes,
Yeah. It's the uptick here. It looks like it's starting to uptick around 2013, 2014 in
yeah,
a
yeah,
meaningful way here.
hmm
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah. So yes, this is, and then there's other types of measures. They call them quality of life measures. So here you have people who rate their health as fair or poor,
Hmm.
about 13%, pretty close to the US and state rates. The number of poor physical health days, okay. So that's, yes, that is pretty similar. Okay, but you can also click here on this down arrow. Like here's a definition of it. Age adjusted, yes, there is an error margin. So, so yes, poor physical health days, low birth weight babies. So yes, so the percentage of low birth weight babies, there is a higher rate amongst African Americans in Beaver County.
Hmm.
I mean, their rate is actually slightly lower than the US and the state rate, but there's still strong racial differences. Now, they also, these are the ones used to determine the health outcome ranking. So the years of potential life lost and these quality of life measures. It also includes poor mental health days. Now, they do have other statistics they provide that don't. So, like here, life expectancy. This is probably maybe an easier thing to understand than years of potential life lost. So,
Hmm.
like, yes, it is slightly lower
Hmm.
in Beaver County, 76.5 years compared to Pennsylvania, 78 and 78.5 for the US.
Hmm.
So we can click this arrow and we can see, okay, yes, a big discrepancy. Actually, Hispanics actually have higher life expectancies. Well, I mean, that can partly be because like sometimes Hispanic immigrants, when they get older, sometimes they return to their home countries to pass away,
Hmm.
to spend out their last years. That can be part of the reason
Right.
why it's so high.
Right.
All right.
Hey,
And
hey,
then,
Paul, let me stop you here. I'm gonna run out of time here in about 30 seconds.
okay.
Let me send you a new link, okay?
All
And
right.
we'll continue this on.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. I got to use the bathroom anyway.
Okay.